Good morning. Thank you, Brenda. That was lovely. My name is Sue Kelly, and I'm a member of the Board of Trustees of this Unitarian Universalist Society. I use she, her pronouns. Welcome to you, old friends and new, young and old, in the Zoom and in the sanctuary. You are an essential part of our celebration here today. Whether today is your first or your 1000th Sunday, in our midst, we are stronger because you are with us. We are one people of many beliefs, many origins, sexualities, and genders. We are all growing, all learning, all loved. Just as you are welcome here. As part of our effort to seek feedback on the governance of our congregation, you're invited to join us during the first 15 minutes of any regular board meeting, chatting with us during social hour in the social hall, or by using the email address board@uusocietyamherst.org. We're grateful to be in community with you today.
I'm the Reverend Rachael Hayes, minister of this congregation. I use she, her pronouns. Our call to worship was composed by the Reverend Sarah Getty McNeil. Come in from the crisp morning air outside. Come in wearing the autumn sunlight on your face. Come in carrying the turning of the seasons in your heart. Whatever and however the greatness of life is speaking to you now, you are welcome here in our circle of friends. Come, let us worship. And these words come from the Reverend Sharon Wiley. The hours of day and night are in balance. In honor of earth-centered traditions that celebrate this time of year, we observe that the flaming chalice holds the elements of the 4 directions: earth, air, fire, water. The lamp oil for earth, the air that feeds the flame, the fire we light, and the chalice itself, the cup, the symbol of water. We light our chalice and reflect on the balance we seek in our lives, the balance we seek in our hearts, the balance we seek in our world. I invite you now to say our congregation's chalice lighting words with me. Are we having a problem with the slides? Oh, there it is. Okay, good. Okay. I was like, okay, balance. I invite you to say our congregation's chalice lighting words with me. We light this flame to invite a world of peace, where we heal the wounds, where we share what we have with one another, where justice is another word for relationship, and we listen for what love has to say. You may have noticed that our local COVID numbers are very high. Masks are required today in the sanctuary. Pull it back up over your nose. I tested this morning so I could unmask with you today. And though the CDC might tell us to get back to business, here we're looking for a higher level of community care. When you're unwell, COVID or not, please stay home and catch the service on Zoom or YouTube. This is part of how we love one another and ourselves. This is a place where we take care, not power through. I invite you to rise in body, spirit, and voice to sing our first hymn, Enter, Rejoice, and Come In. Just move this whole thing over here. Enter, rejoice, and come in. Today will be
Good morning. My name is Andrew Coate. I use he, him pronouns, and I serve as the Director of Religious Education here. And today, upstairs and downstairs, we are talking about balance. We are talking about ways that we can keep ourselves balanced with all of the different things that are asking for our attention. So I'm actually going to invite, if the children would like to come forward and maybe sit up in a couple of these front chairs or on the little runner rug. And I'm going to ask Lila if she'll come up. You don't have to balance yet. You can just stand behind it. And I'm going to ask Reverend Rachael if she'd be willing to assist a little bit. All right, so I am going to ask the other kids to have a seat, either in a chair or on the little rug. So, Lila very graciously agreed to help out with a little demonstration today. Can I actually ask all of you to take a scoot back, just in case things get a little bit hairy? Can I have the baby? So, I'm going to ask Lila if she'd be willing to just step up and just practice a little bit of balance here. It's not too hard. Not hard at all. I was actually, though, wondering, Lila, would you be willing to babysit for me? It's not too hard. Just balancing and holding a baby. Sometimes there are a lot of things that come to us. People are asking us to do lots of different things at a time. And, you know, Lila, I actually remembered you have a very important test coming up. Just make sure you study for that. And there are things that we really can't put down. Lila is in charge of this baby. This baby needs to be cared for. And also, I know that her mom wants her to get a good grade on that test, right? And Lila's getting older. Sometimes she stays at home for a little bit if someone has to run an errand or something. Actually, I heard that there was something wrong with the sink, and your parents were actually hoping you could maybe fix that. It should be pretty easy. There's some instructions on YouTube. Let's keep things in balance, Lila. And so today, when we are downstairs, we're going to talk about how we could maybe keep things light, keep things calm, keep things balanced. And one of the ways that I know is important to do is, Lila, don't forget to play. You're still a kid. So just, Your friend's trying to help you out, Lila. Well, you're being very gracious. You can give those things back to Reverend Rachael. So I am going to invite everyone in the sanctuary to think of ways that you can practice balance, and you can practice saying no. If someone says, hey, can you also, you can say no. I maybe didn't let Lila say no this morning as part of the demonstration, but And so we're going to play some games downstairs talking about balance. We're going to talk about what it might mean to say yes to too many things. And we're going to talk about what it might mean to change our mind on some of those things. Our junior youth group is going to continue on with some projects they started last week. And of course, if there are any kids who are nursery age, they are welcome to join JC for the preschool classes. Would anyone be willing to carry that downstairs? You can try, Dar. All right, I'm going to invite all of the children present to head downstairs with me as the congregation continues their service.
I feel the fruit
Today, excuse me, today is the autumnal equinox. As of 8:43 this morning, it is technically fall in the northern hemisphere. The sun has crossed the equatorial plane, moving southward, or the axis of the earth has moved so that the southern hemisphere faces the sun. If you are looking for exactitude, the day and night won't be exactly 12 hours each until Wednesday. But this is the day the sun rises due east and sets due west, more or less. But you know what? Most of us are not synchronizing our sundials, and I think we'll be okay. This is the time when we really start to notice the night coming back, if we haven't already. The shortened evenings, the cooler temperatures, and maybe a desire to find the flannel jacket, if not the flannel sheets just yet. The colors of leaves are beginning to change, and sometimes in the morning the air smells spicy rather than fresh. I still have one zucchini left to eat, and the market is full of butternut squash. Here we are between summer and winter, hot and cold, between the long days and the short days. It is the time of middle, the time of balance, the time of both, or of a little bit of a lot of things. Whether cultural or instinctive, we return to the idea of balance this time of year. I lost count of the number of conversations I had or overheard in the last week about balance, separate from any conversation about this sermon. So many of us seem to be looking for balance. And we should be wary of people who are trying to sell us balance. Any other 80s and 90s kids remember Cookie Crisp, part of this balanced breakfast? I'm not actually opposed to cookies for breakfast once in a while, but something in me bristles at the idea of having one more thing to balance. The big one for those of us who are working might be work-life balance. Ideally, all of us have ways that we connect with humanity in conversation, in acts of care, but a lot of us also have a job. I hope your job gives you some satisfaction in addition to income to cover your needs, but I also hope that it doesn't become your whole life. One of my friends in seminary talked about her previous career as a teacher, in which her school administration decided to institute mandatory fun events after hours to help combat the stress of the job. I don't know how effective that was for the other teachers, but my friend decided that theological study and additional debt sounded more balanced than her unbalanced, too much work life. Each of us has a different set of things that we're balancing. Kids, grandkids, aging parents or siblings, our own health, partners, friends, projects, hobbies, learning, spiritual practices, home, food, laundry as a whole category, a relationship with a piece of land, community commitments, work, school, pets, probably something I didn't mention that is important to your particular balance. We talk so much about balance in our culture as though the balance we seek is a balance that is to be won and kept. But balance is the opposite of stasis. When we're talking about human things rather than inert objects, balance will always mean movement. Think of a baby learning to balance. Their balance is not still, it's a process of wobbling one way and another until the muscles can hold them upright. As our balance grows, the movements become smaller and smaller, but it's still a process of balancing. Even standing still, someone with strong balance is negotiating the micro movements of their body against the force of gravity. Or think of a gymnast on the balance beam, constantly adjusting back to center over the beam, making one tiny adjustment after another, muscles flexing to work together. And this balance, if we think of it as a state instead of a process, is temporary. We are human. Our bodies exist in time, and bodies that are healthy and balanced easily at one point will almost certainly experience illness and disability as a normal part of the human life cycle. Even a body in bed is finding balance, if a different balance than the balance of standing. What I'd like to do is rebalance our idea of balance. If balance is a process that we can't help but participate in, it's okay if your balance and mine don't look the same. We're all balancing our way through life, and sometimes a balanced diet has birthday cake in it. Sometimes balance doesn't look so much like the solo gymnast, but a pair or group of contact improvisation dancers sharing their weight, balancing against each other, each one's leaning becoming support for the other. And the grace, play, and beauty come from finding balance by sharing weight together. I'm wary of any balance that's a magic fix, and I'm wary of any call for the individual to keep balance without acknowledging that the world is pretty unbalanced. That forces beyond our control are also adding pressure, poverty, ableism, ageism and adultism, racism, sexism, heteronormativity, cisnormativity, and all of the ways those get acted out in public policy and personal relationships, and all of the individual pressures of your life as well. I'm interested in what keeps you balanced, but even more, I'm interested in who do you lean on to help you find balance? Just like the dancers in contact improv, who is your support? We've got to do the work of equity and justice in the world, of finding that balance at every level, but we also need to support one another. Of course, the goal is that vision of universal justice and equity where all people have the opportunity to thrive, which we call beloved community. But we're going to wobble toward and away from that perfect balanced center as we try to live in it. So we need to build up our community of support to take care of one another. And this might be harder for the doers among us to let ourselves receive the care that we need, to make connections and find balance by sharing our weight. The congregation, too, needs to balance continually. We find our balance together, and balance is movement, not stasis. It is impossible to stay the same and stay balanced. If we try to be the same congregation we were 40 years ago, or 10 years ago, or 2 years ago, we will lose our balance. And as we move, sometimes our wobbles are bigger or smaller, but the balance is in the movement. Many of the committees and circles in our congregation have begun to implement the sociocracy norm of good enough for now and safe enough to try when deciding on courses of action. This leaves some wiggle room, or some wobble room even, in group decision making. It gets them moving in the right direction, even if it might take a few moves to find a comfortable balance in the work. The other place I want to mention balance in our congregation, other than the keyboard that Andrew brought in today, and I kind of want to play with later, is to simply name that there are so many amazing things happening here. Nobody needs to do everything, and I recommend that you not try to do everything, but I hope you'll challenge yourself to lean in a little more, to share yourself and presence with us here in ways that add to your balance, to try the book group or the My Grandmother's Hands practice series, to talk to someone you haven't met yet, to let us offer you care, maybe, if you're so full of doing that you can't imagine doing one more thing. To find a project here, if you're hungry to be of use. Let's rebalance that idea of balance. We find our balance by moving, and we find it in community, like wobbly babies learning to walk, like contact improv dancers making poetry of sharing their weight, like committees being brave to try new things together, like the person who holds everyone else together, learning to lean on a friend. Let's find that balance together. Please join me in the spirit of prayer. Spirit of life who moves in us, we face the turning of the year, summer ended, autumn come. May each of us listen for the balance we need so that we may be each other's strength, that sharing our burdens will make the whole stronger, that we may do so always with love. Blessed be. May we hold all of these joys and sorrows in our hearts. If you are experiencing loss or struggle, our caring team is here to listen. Email caring@uusocietyamherst.org, talk to me, or reach out to Pete or Fran to connect with a listening ear. This meditation was composed by the Reverend Lori Gorgas-Laban. Pause. Balanced in the center between the longest and shortest days. Equinox. The wheel of the year turns and turns again. The air cools, days shorten. The sun seems to weaken, barely clearing the horizon after rising before beginning its descent. This is our opportunity now to pause, balanced, breathing in, breathing out, knowing this present moment. This present moment is all we're guaranteed. Like the sun moving toward the shortest day, each moment arises and is gone before we know it. This is the time to pause and consider. As we enter the season of contemplation, of increasing darkness, of lying fallow, of dormancy, this is the season of letting go, of lightening burdens, of preparing for a long period of being still, going deep. Pause and consider binaries, dark and light, hot and cold, chaos and order. Neither extreme is inherently good or bad. It's all a matter of balance, of honoring the spectrum for which binaries mark the endpoints. Today, we mark the midpoint between summer and winter solstice, a time to seek balance and be free. Blessed be. Amen. Please remain seated for our meditation hymn, Winds Be Still. We are about to sing our closing song. You are welcome to stay right where you are, wherever you are, and know that you are held in the love of this congregation. Or you are welcome to rise and move into a circle along the outer aisles and form a container for all that we hope our circle will be. Place your hands over your heart, or reach out and hold the hand of someone next to you as we sing our closing song. We belong to the dark and the light. We belong to the labor and the rest. We belong to the breath in and the breath out. We belong to this moment and to this place and to these people. Go in peace into the beauty of this day and the night that follows.